It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Vapor Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plot Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Tradition Tree Stands,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight, Dan DeFall. Beautiful weekend here in Michigan.
I tell you what, it's a beautiful weekend. We got snow on the ground. You had snow in the UP.
No,
in the northern lower. I wasn't in the UP, but they got snow up there. But anyways,
we're in Michigan, Dan. We're in the lower peninsula.
My thoughts for...
You're in the UP. Your mind's there, right?
What I wanted to say is I was driving over with snow on the ground. It was kind of like freezing rain.
You know, it was nasty coming home today.
You said on your way home, you were white-knuckling it on the way home.
Yeah, I was slipping and sliding. Once we hit 75, we got on at the 202 coming south, and from there all the way down for about 45 miles. It was nasty.
Was it nasty?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they set out an alert, basically from, I think, Saginaw to Standish is going to be a nightmare for a little while here.
Well, it was coming down, and it was not good. I can tell you that. So there was no fun to be had on 75.
No fun at all,
hey,
right?
Speaking of, guys, I want to say something here real quick. For those of you who've been following us, where is that coming from? That's coming from that right there. Take that audio down.
Yep. Hold on.
You're hearing that? Oh, no, actually, that's coming off my phone. I'm sorry.
Oh-ho! Ha-ha! It's not my fault.
Nope.
It's your fault.
It's my fault tonight. But yeah, getting back to what we were talking about. If you guys were following what I was doing this weekend, we had some kids up from Indiana, from the Backwater Legacy camp, and they are on their way home right now. Everything's fine, so if any of the parents are listening, I don't want to alarm anybody, but I did get a call from David Boggs. They rolled up on a drunk driver accident, and they weren't involved in it,
right?
But they witnessed it.
So they're waiting for the authorities to arrive.
Yeah, so they're going to have to go through all that. So if anybody's listening that may be from Indiana with the kids that are coming home, they may be a little late. They're safe. We talked to David. He was going to be on the show, but obviously with what's going on, he can't. So guys and gals, this time of year, if you're out there and you had a little too much to drink, make doggone sure you call and you get a designated driver, you get a taxi, something. Don't drive. I mean,
right?
That's there's no excuse for it. I'm sorry. So I'll get off my soapbox on that right now. So
Phil Smith is watching. Chantel's watching. Hey, Chantel.
So anyways,
let's get into our show because you got some talking to do, buddy.
Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start about. Well, you had to get up there, so you left Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night we rolled out. I got out of work about 9:30. David and his crew rolled up, met me at work here in Michigan, and we rolled out of Flint at 9:30 and got to camp at about 12:30 at night.
Oh, they met you at work.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they got there about 10 minutes before I got out. Timing was perfect. I mean, they got there. I
Gotcha.
got out. My stuff was packed. I was ready to roll, and we headed north. Got to camp, like I said, about 12:30. Got everything unpacked. I think by the time we put our heads on the pillow, it was probably 3 in the morning, 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Talking, gabbing.
Oh, yeah, catching up on everything.
Been there, done that.
So we knew, number one, going in blind on a cold set, not knowing what activities being taking place at camp, not knowing where the deer movement is. We had fresh snow. We come up with a game plan. Dave and I going to get up that morning, take 2 of the kids with us, jump in my Jeep, and then turn around and drive through the property looking and seeing where deer runs were on this fresh snow.
Right,
know?
Yep.
Plus, we had to take heaters and drop them off in the blinds that we were actually going to try to get out on, so where we thought we might put kids. So we had to get everything kind of set up, and in the meantime, we also stopped and pulled all my cameras and pulled the cards out of them, got back to camp, had lunch, and while we're having lunch, we got to open Christmas gifts. Got to open up our trail cam cards and see what we had.
Always good to open up Christmas gifts.
Yep. So that was kind of the way we approached the whole hunt. Like I said, going in blind. Camp has been basically shut down since the 28th of November.
Okay.
So 2 weeks ish.
Yep.
Everybody pulled out right after Thanksgiving Sunday. So we rolled in 10 days later, 11 days, whatever it was, and decided to get out there and try to hit it. So that's the way we arrived.
So you had about a couple inches of snow?
There was enough snow on the ground to say it was white. It was a dusting.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah,
cool,
at
cool,
that
cool.
point. But it was starting to come down a little bit. Over the whole weekend, we got probably 3-4 inches of snow. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's just something about hunting in snow.
yeah, it enhances your senses. It enhances the experience. It enhances tracking if you need to track.
Right? Absolutely, it helps.
Yeah. And it also helps seeing deer. You've seen a brown body move against a white background.
Yep.
You pick up movement a lot quicker and easier.
Yep, it definitely enhances the ability to track a deer if you have to track them, but some people don't have to. They're so good.
Yeah, well, sometimes that happens.
It happens.
So we'll talk about
Yes,
that.
absolutely. We're going to talk about it now. We'll get there.
So
So, yeah, no, so got a late start to getting some sleep, but you got up early, you got out there, you pulled all the cameras,
yep.
and now you're looking through them. Did you have anything on camera that you were glad to see that maybe made it through the season? Or
I found a new buck.
Oh, a new buck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I've seen him on 2 different cameras. So, it's basically running a route that they would normally run, traveling from one area to another on a consistent basis. So I have a feeling he was chasing, looking for does, looking for a little love. And,
Okay.
caught him on camera. And that was last week when nobody was there. So, didn't get a real good, hard look. I mean, I could see the size of the body, but every time I looked, his antlers were turned, or head was turned. I got him twice on camera, and I couldn't see if he had brow tines or not.
Okay. All
But
right.
from what I could tell, he's either a 7 or a 9 point. So he's
Gotcha.
probably a 2.5, maybe a 3.5-year-old buck. Like I said, we didn't get a real good, clean, hard, definitive look at him, but from what the camera showed us, next year there's a possibility, but if not, definitely the next year. So
Right, yeah, absolutely. Hopefully
Yeah.
he makes it through the winter.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
then you can start. Hopefully he sticks around.
Yep.
He doesn't need to go anywhere.
Right.
So
And we've seen a couple other bucks that are going to have potential.
Okay.
Some smaller 8s, another 6 point. So we're getting a handful of bucks now on the property on a regular basis that I've seen on different cameras on different places on the property. That it's encouraging because last year 1 buck was taken off the property the whole season. This year no buck was taken off the property. So people are being very selective at what they're going to pull the trigger on.
okay, going back to that, no bucks. Did you get a total of the gun season doe count?
Yes, we were at 10 going into this hunt, which was
Okay, all
way
right.
below what we expected.
Well, last year you had 24,
Right.
and then this year you were selecting to go try to get 30,
Right.
and you were at 10.
Okay.
So you're down.
Yep.
So and then okay, so good. You got some bucks that have made it through, and it looks like got some promising things for next year.
Yep, absolutely. So, other than that, the usual suspect does that, we know we've got too many of. And, after lunch, put a game plan together. And we had 4 kids in camp. One of the kids had never shot a buck before, or shot a deer before at all. And his dad came with him, and his dad had never been deer hunting, period. So that was a whole new experience for him. So we had to send a guide with him.
Okay.
So that way, they could help somebody could judge deer, understand the difference between, a doe and a button buck.
Yep.
Older doe versus younger doe, those types of things. And we had the 3 other kids were pretty experienced. We did put a guide with one of them early on the first day to help him out a little bit and make sure that he understood kind of where things were at. But after that, they were rocking, man. So
That's awesome to see a dad coming up that isn't into it per se,
right,
but still he's coming up with them to sit with them.
yeah.
What a cool moment, for both of them actually.
Well, and they actually wound up the last 2 sits. It was just him and his son sitting out there.
Okay.
They kind of got some coaching along and knew what to expect and what to look for. We helped them along, and their guide helped them along. So it was a pretty cool experience. At least from my part or my view of it, and watching that whole thing transpire, it was pretty special.
That's awesome. That's a good thing. Good father-son moment.
Absolutely.
Weekend.
Today when I picked him up, I told him, I said, the younger guy there that was doing the hunting, I told him, I said, your son, when he gets your age or even older and has kids of his own or grandkids, I said, this is a hunt he's always going to remember, and he's going to be talking about that when his dad went hunting for the first time, he was with him and sitting in the blind,
Absolutely.
And they were in Michigan, they're from southern Indiana, so.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing is coming up from Indiana to here.
Right.
And you did do that little video when you were trying out the deer heart. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But you asked them, that was interesting that you asked them what the difference in deer was between what they see down there and what they saw up here.
Right.
And the differences he talked about quickly.
Oh, yeah, with the kids and stuff, they had hunting experience it was. You know what? I just got a text, guys and gals, here on the podcast and on the show. David Boggs just texted me. He says they're clear now. They're back on the road, and they're on their way. He says he's available. So
cool.
Why don't we take a break? Let's call David on Skype, and let's see if we can get him rocking in on this and talking about it.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to step outside. We'll keep the live stream going here, folks, so bear with us. But for the podcast, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back live here on the live stream and the podcast, and we have made connection with the David Boggs. David, how you doing, brother?
Oh, doing great, brother. Doing great.
So, how's the weather traveling south? Is it getting any better?
It's getting better as we get closer to home. We're about 3 hours out from home now, but Michigan treated me the way it normally does when I leave, and spits and ice and snow and everything else all over us and makes it nice and fun for the first 3 hours, and then it gets easy on me after we're stressed out. But We're good. We're rolling. It's looking clear right now.
Okay, gotcha. Good. Hopefully the rest of the way will be good for you. But, we had you and had your bunch up here for this doe management hunt. And we've been talking a little bit about how we set everything up and got rocking here with it. And, basically getting into the first real hunt, getting people out, getting them into the stands and everything, and explained how when we set the hunter up that had never shot a deer before, and he had his dad with him, but we also put a guide with him that first day out in the field, and actually, unfortunately, we put them in what we thought was the best stand, and they never saw anything that evening. So
that shocks me in that field.
I know what field.
I know what field. Yeah, I know field.
It kind of blew my mind, blew David's mind. So, but after that first evening, I'm trying to remember, I think I seen 7 deer that first evening. And I get in the stand, and it's about, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At 2:30, my dad calls. So I'm like, okay, my dad doesn't call at 2:30 on a Friday afternoon unless something's wrong. So I answer the phone. I'm like, hey, what's up, Pops? Oh, I was just calling to see what you're doing. Are you at work? And I'm like, no, I'm in the deer stand. And he's like, oh, I thought you were at work, So we talked for a minute, and I go, oh, hey, wait. Hang on just a minute. And he goes, what's the matter? I go, I got deer in front of me. So I put the phone down, and I was hoping I was going to get to shoot one.
Oh, that would have been classic.
Him on the phone, but they got away from me. I mean, it was just bang, bang, and they were gone. So, but David, I'm trying to remember where you wound up on the first day. Didn't you get out and just do a little sightseeing? Am I right or not?
Yeah. I went out and did a little sightseeing. I went behind the little cabin there.
That's right.
On the back trails. Yeah, but I only had about a 2-hour hunt because we forgot to buy a hamburger for our chili, and we were having chili that night. So I had to make a run into town, so I lost that time.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
I forgot.
Okay, I had nothing to do with that. So he had to go to town.
I did not buy the hamburger.
There you go. But everybody saw a game that night, and actually 2 of the hunters had opportunities to kill deer that night, and they chose not to. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think I've got Cole finally psyched up. I'm going to pass the phone to Cole, let Cole talk about his experience.
Okay, all right.
I'll pick back up with you when you're ready.
Okay.
Here you go, Cole.
Hello.
Hey, Cole, what's going on, man?
Oh, not a whole lot much.
Okay, you're
just driving
live.
home.
You're live on Facebook, so I just want to warn you.
Oh boy.
Okay, everybody,
Oh, boy.
everybody out there can hear you, and I'm also recording this, so no lies.
All right.
We're just talking about your first hunt. You know, you were out in the stand, and you had an opportunity to shoot that night, but you chose not to. Kind of run us through why you chose not to.
Yeah, it was the first night that I was going to be out there. I figured, I'd see quite a bit more, which I did. And she had a little fawn with her that was just born this past spring. So I figured I'd give her the best chance I could. And if she would probably gave me a second look after she got behind some trees, I probably would have took a shot. But it was first night. I'd already seen 3 that night. I figured I'd see a lot more, which I did. So. Okay. I still feel like I made the right choice. I just couldn't get a shot off at any of the other ones.
Okay, right on. And the reason I'm not trying to bust your chops on this, because actually we had somebody email us this evening about that same question and wanted to know why they should, because we've talked about this and we talked about it at camp. I told you, go ahead and shoot those. And the guy who emailed us, he said, hey, I've been listening to you guys talk about this stuff. He said, convince me why I should shoot a doe that's got a little one. And I kind of wanted to run through, those scenarios with you and with Marquise, who kind of was the same thing. He had one that had a little one and chose not to shoot. So, and that's why I just wanted to hear it right straight from the horse's mouth, of what was playing through your mind.
Right, exactly.
And what you were thinking. So,
and our listener that emailed us, he kept letting the does go by because he's always thinking there's a buck behind.
Right.
He just could never pull it. So yeah, he wants us to convince him to shoot a doe.
Right. So, but you had also had another very unique experience. You had a critter come in pretty close to your stand, I understand, right?
That's right.
They came in through the air.
Yeah.
Run through that.
I was sitting there in the stand, and I looked up, and I had actually seen a bald eagle flying around in the air, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. I had a video camera with me. I didn't think I'd ever get a good enough shot with it flying in the air as high as it was, so I turned around and started looking for some more deer, and I turned back to my left, and next thing I know, I see wings stretched out about probably 10 yards from my stand, and she's sitting up there in a birch tree.
Wow.
She flew right in and sat down beside me, but I tried to get the video camera to get at least a picture on her, and I couldn't do it. She seen me and took off, so really neat experience, though.
I got to assume that's probably the closest you've ever had a bald eagle to you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They are big.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. The wingspans is wide as you are tall, and you're a tall boy.
Oh, yeah.
So that was awesome. So while I got you on here, you hunt in southern Indiana, okay? You're down from around Bloomington area, is that right? Are you?
Yeah, just south of there.
Okay. So now, with your experience in hunting down that way, you're 18 or 19? How old are you?
18.
18, okay. You're in first year of college, but you've hunted a lot down that way. I've gathered from what you've told me that you've spent a lot of time afield. What did you notice was the biggest difference between hunting southern Indiana and up here in Michigan, besides the snow? I mean, but what kind of what was going through your mind? Like, wow, I never would have thought of that, or man, that's different. What are some of those things?
I had actually looked at some of your guys' deer stands, and just seeing how the deer behaved around them, they didn't seem to mind the deer stands nearly as much as what they do back home.
Okay.
If they see a deer stand, they tend to go on the other side of the field from it. They don't like to go anywhere near them things because they know what's going on near them.
Okay.
The deer back home, they know that we're there, and they know that they know when we're there and what we're doing. So up here, I just feel like that they don't necessarily know why we're there, and they're more or less curious about why we're there. So,
okay.
They just pretend deer stand ain't even there.
Okay. Was there anything about like maybe the size of the deer? A doe up here versus a doe down there. Your typical, nanny doe.
It seemed like your guys' does up here were, I want to say, a little bit longer than ours, but they weren't quite as thick as far as height-wise in the body.
Okay.
But overall, though, I think your guys' were about the same size as ours.
Okay.
Their heads just seem to be a lot bigger than ours, though.
Okay.
I don't know why that is, but.
All right. Yeah. I just, you get into different parts of the country. The same animal looks, different. For whatever reason.
You talk about a deer in Saskatchewan as opposed to deer in Texas, right?
Right on. Yeah. Exactly. So.
And we're somewhere in between, and they have to manage the elements differently.
Right. Okay, now, I've warned all of y'all coming up here. Pack warm clothes. Pack warm boots. Did you get cold?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. And I even had some over boots with me. I have on, actually, my hunting boots right now. They're 800-gram Thinsulate, and, I mean, I still got cold out there. It is definitely cold up here in Michigan.
Okay. When you're hunting southern Indiana, let's say late season, what's the average temperature?
Oh, shoot. It's probably 35, somewhere in there. I mean, 35.
Okay.
That's a good number.
That's pretty balmy.
Yeah, it is for that time of year. I mean, especially for up here. I mean, We're in the 20s. Well, we went out a couple of those mornings you guys went out. I didn't go out and hunt the mornings, but it was like 20 degrees, maybe in the teens at a couple. One morning it was in the teens. So, yeah.
And, nothing like being in the deer stand when it's 0, right?
Right on.
But so that was a little bit of a shock to the cold, huh?
Yeah. I thought I was prepared for it, but I feel like I could have survived out there, but for deer hunting, it made it real cold.
Yeah, okay. Dan, ask him a little bit about what the number one animal in Michigan that he's afraid of is.
Oh, he has an animal that he's afraid of from Michigan?
Well, he didn't really come out right. Well, he did admit it. Yeah, he did admit it to us. He was a little skittish.
Let me guess. Is he skittish of a mouse?
I don't know. What is it, Cole?
Oh, I'm not a big fan of bears up there.
Bears. Oh, you afraid the Winnie the Pooh's going to come out and get you?
Yes.
And that's something I really don't even think about when we're up there hunting. It's out of sight, out of mind. If you see one, it's like, oh, cool, there's a bear. And I forget when you bring people that don't normally hunt in northern Michigan and don't experience that. But now I will say he's hunted out west. Cole, you've hunted out west, right? So,
right.
So you've had you've hunted in areas before with bear, but typically when we bring people up here, they don't have that experience.
Usually in Michigan, by the time we get into December, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
My worrisome is always in the September, October, if it's a warm November time frame.
Right.
But so what were you thinking there, Cole, when you were walking on? Did you think he was going to start to follow you and find you?
No, not necessarily that. I just didn't want to walk up on one. I'm just not a big fan of surprising animals like that. A bear's a 350-pound black bear don't seem too appealing to me while I'm walking up on it in the dark.
No, not really. And they can move pretty fast through the woods.
Yeah. So, well, all in all, what do you think about hunting northern Michigan? I mean, what was your overall experience like?
Oh, it was amazing. If I ever had the chance, I'd come right back in a heartbeat.
All right.
It was really good hunting. Got to see a lot of deer, a lot of different animals, and very cool experiences.
Okay, now we did get snow on the ground. We hunted in the snow. Have you ever? And I know you've hunted out west before and stuff. I imagine you've experienced that before, hunting in the snow.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Been elk hunting in late December and walking through knee-high snow.
Okay. So you know what that game's all about then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is David eat all the beef jerky, or I mean all the deer jerky that he stopped and bought on the way home, or is he still chewing on it?
No, I don't know if he still has his or not, but I know mine's kept right beside me. He ain't getting to it. So.
All right, man. Well, you guys have a safe trip. Let me holler back at David. You take care now.
All right. Thank you. Have safe. Bye.
Yep. I bet he's eat all of it. We'll see here.
Probably.
All right, I'm back. I assume that you're riding me like a saddle, huh?
Well, we're trying to figure out if you've eat all that jerky that you bought on the way back yet.
Well, it's a tradition. I hate to break traditions. You know that.
All right. Well, okay, fair enough.
But now I got 5 other people addicted to it.
Okay, that's good. So next time they're in Michigan, they're going to stop at the jerky outlet and make sure they pile up with some. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so we kind of got the rundown with Cole, kind of what he thought about the whole thing and his experience of what he went through. We did have one kid that actually took a shot and didn't draw blood. So you were nearby. You were hanging out doing a little bit of investigating when that whole scenario went down. So you want to run through that real quick?
Yeah, sure. Bailey's one of our young cadets. He's 15 years old. We'd had him hunting out with some adults, and we've had him out with some of the older kids. So this was his first time out. I sent him and Cole out together, and then I backtracked them. About 40 minutes after I sent them out, And I like to do that. I can do that with my adult clients sometimes. I'll go up, I'll send them out, and then I can observe them from a distance to see what's going on,
Right.
See and hear if they're making too much noise in their stand. In Bailey's case, I could track and do his footprint, and I could tell by your sandy soil and the way his foot's hit. And I'm like, dude, you were making a ton of noise on your way in. That's why you didn't see nothing on the way in. But yeah, I tracked him back to the blind he was in. I stayed downwind from him. I got to a position, and I sat there and watched and observed him through the binoculars. And I decided to lay down on the ground because you never know which way they're going to shoot, and that's the safest position. And I'm watching him. I lay there for about 2 hours. About 9:50, I say, okay. I text him, and he still doesn't know that I'm there. I say, are you ready to go? And he says, okay, yeah, I'll start getting ready. Well, it's not 3 minutes later. I hear a bunch of thundering and crashing about 30 yards behind me. And I'd roll over on my side and look, and I've got 2 giant does running right at me, which actually hurdled me and jumped over me. That was a new experience for me. I just curled up in the fetal position, and they went right over top of me. And I didn't know what to do, and I was very proud of him, buddy. They ran past me, went 50 yards to the blind, and then made a hook and went right in front of the blind. And we're talking 3 seconds. He had 3 seconds to identify it, brace up, and take the shot, and he did. And I think he went high. I think he just barely missed. But I was impressed. I don't even know if I could have got a shot off that quick when I'm packing up, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's deer, and they're running at full blast. And then he said he grunted at them. I couldn't hear him. I don't know why. But he said he did grunt and got one of them to stop, and I could see one of them, and then it did stop. The other one I couldn't see, which was apparently the other one's the one he shot at.
Okay.
From my position, I had a little hill in front of me, and I couldn't see it. But, yeah, he squeezed off the shot. He said he braced it up, which is what we try to teach all of our kids to do. And even in a surprise situation, find something to brace off, do good, better, best. Find a good spot, find the better spot, get the best spot. Do whatever you can for the best situation. Brace up. Never take that freehand shot. And he felt very confident. He hit it, but unfortunately, the results didn't show that.
Yeah, you guys actually went out and couldn't. And there's snow on the ground, so immediately. Now, what did he say when you walked up that quick? Because he didn't know you were that you were behind him.
He said, "Golly, I about smoked you. You scared me to death." He had no idea I was there. And then he said, "But I smoked her, man. I got her. I said, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay. Well, since I'm here and I saw it, we'll look at the last set of tracks. We won't go in deep, but I want to see if you got blood or not. I want to see what I could."
Right.
And we couldn't find any blood. We tried later on that evening. We tried to find her again, and took Cole out there with us, made a big circle, and we did everything within our power pretty much. You and I were going to go out this morning, but due to time constraints, we didn't. But we put in a good effort to find her. But I had no indication whatsoever that he hit her.
Okay.
So we decided that we would just call it quits there. And then that evening we went on a coyote hunt, which was unproductive. Got in about 1 o'clock. And then today the boys went out and do some coyote stuff again and some deer hunting, but it just didn't happen these last couple of days, but we still had a great time.
Right. Yep. So that was pretty much the deal. I was talking about I was talking to him to Danny about the young fella who didn't have opportunity to shoot one the first evening hunt and the first morning hunt, so we moved him over to my blind. I'll tell you what, let's step outside. We'll take our second break. We come back. I want to run through that whole scenario and how we set him up, and you can talk about that as well because you know a lot about that situation. So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this, folks.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, third segment of the show. we've now gotten into our second day of the hunt. Now, when the boys went out, no, they went out coyote hunting. That was last night. I take that back. When we came in from that first evening hunt, I didn't sleep hardly at all. We got up there late. David and I got up early that morning, went out and scouted, pre-scouted everything, got everything together, made our decisions on what we're going to do with the kid, put the kids and all that. Then I went out and hunted while David went and got hamburger. So we got back into camp. We eat supper that night, kicked back, started talking. Next thing I know, I don't know, what was it, 1 o'clock in the morning again? It was pretty late. And it took a toll on me. I couldn't sleep. I was so tired I couldn't sleep. And when I finally got to sleep, I hear a knock on the door at 5 a.m. Hey, it's 5 o'clock, Mike. You getting up? And that's David knocking on the door. And I'm like, and I said, what time is it? He said, 5. And I said, what's the temperature? And I think he said, was it 15? You told me it's 15 degrees?
Yeah.
I said,
it's 12 at that time.
12. I said, I've slept about 2 hours. I said, I ain't going out. I rolled back over, and I think I woke up. It was about 9 o'clock. But everybody else went out that morning. Did you go out that morning, Dave, and hunt? Was that the morning that Gabe shot? That was the morning, wasn't it, that he shot? I do believe. They all run together, man. Not Gabe, I'm sorry. Not Gabe. Bailey.
Yeah.
That was the morning he shot.
Saturdays was, Marquise. Yeah, they all ran in on me, too, especially, last one to bed and first one up.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Gabe and his family, they're kind of, he brought his father along with him.
Yeah.
And his father is not a hunter. This is his first experience with hunting. Neither one of them had any experience. So, who wasn't went out with them? I think, did Tony go out with them the first day? No, Dave White went out with them.
Yep.
Yeah, Dave White went out with them the first day, trying to, teach them the sex and age deer. And, that's one of the hardest things out there. And I think we might have went a little too far on that, and that's why they didn't take some of those shots that we would have took.
Right. Well, and that was the thing, is they weren't seeing deer, so I made a decision. I mean, I'm feeling bad. We brought these kids up here to have fun and see deer and have an opportunity. So I'm like, I said, I saw deer in my stand. I have a good indication that you're going to see deer up here. You might see a lot, but you're going to see deer. I said, we're going to my stand. So that was Saturday evening Saturday evening. We went and put them in my stand.
Oh, okay.
So made our way out there. I got them all set up. And as we're walking up to my stand, I look about 200 yards down in front of me. And all of a sudden, bang, here comes four deer. I see bodies and flags. And it's far away. I'm like, hey, deer, right there, And they look up, and I said, well, we don't see them. I said, they just busted right through there. So let's get in the stand. So I got them all set up. Give them the indications of where deer are going to be coming through, where they need to set up, where to look, where their shooting lanes were, and all that, and give them distances of where they'd feel comfortable, knowing if it passed in front of that big tree right there, that that's 100 yards and in.
Right.
So we kind of run through all those scenarios. And I said, okay, now I'm going to go on down the hill here. And I said, I'm going to get down in a spot where there's no possible way you can shoot me. Okay. I said, I'm down. I said, I'm going to be 15 to 20 feet down below in a hole that if you were to shoot, it's going to go way over my head.
Right.
So I went up and set up on a deer run, one that runs right down into my food plot. And I dropped him off 2 o'clock. So I go down to my spot, sit down, kind of hang out, and all of a sudden, me, social bug that I am.
Yeah, you are.
I'm taking a couple photos, putting them on Facebook, doing my thing, and all of a sudden, it started snowing to beat the band. It was a blow coming in. Visibility's dropping, and I'm looking, and I'm getting snow piling up on my shoulders, and I'm like, this is cool, but this ain't good for, it's good deer hunting, but I need to be on the move. I need to get up and just walk a little bit. I was going to go push down the swamp, thinking the deer are going to be in the swamp holding up during this blow. And the wind's blowing pretty hard at that time. So I start to get up, make my way down. I moved on down, probably 40, 50 yards at the most. And it took me a while to get there. I'm just slow stalking. And I lean against a tree, and I'm looking down across my food plot. And I hear this squirrel just going to town behind me, way up on the hill on the ridge.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, it's blowing and it's snowing. Why is a squirrel barking and raising Cain? I said, it's got to be a coyote or deer. So I'm leaning against the tree, and I'm like, I'm just not going to step out and walk around. So I just rolled around the tree to put the tree between me and the squirrel. And then I peeked my head out around the tree, and there's a big old doe standing up on the ridge, staring straight at me. It looks like Mickey Mouse, big old floppy ears. So I'm like, okay, game on, girl. And I didn't move. She didn't move. It was a stalemate for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then she flicked her tail, put her head down to walk. I clicked the safety off. She walked behind a tree. Gun comes up immediately, and I'm braced up against the tree. And as soon as she stepped out, boom, down she goes. I'm like, whew, okay, good. I got a deer down, you know. And that's the first deer of the season, you know.
Right.
It's been a long season, so I mean, I'm all giddy about that. And so I'm thinking to myself, I said, man, I better go ahead and reload. You know, you never know. I got 3 tags.
Right.
Let's get ready. So I grab all my gear, reload real quick, and I take and I look up as I'm putting my ramrod back down in my gun, and there's another doe standing there. Not as big, but it was a doe. And I said, And watching it, she's watching me. She flicks her tail a little bit, and she starts to walk. But she's going to walk down to where I just dropped the dad and the boy off. And I said, okay, that's a little hike down there. But I said, maybe she'll go down that way, and he'll get a shot.
Right.
And, you know, so I'm watching a little bit, and she kind of starts to walk off. So I lean the gun against a tree, bend down, zip my backpack up. When I stand back up and look, she circled and came back. I don't know if it's curiosity
Probably.
or what, you know. And she's standing there, she's quartering two. And by this time, it was snowing so hard. In that short amount of time, my scope, because the gun's pointing up against the tree, the scope was starting to fill with snow, and it was fogged over. I pulled the gun up, and I'm free-handed at this point. No bracing, because I had to reach to get the gun off the tree. Put it up, look at her through the scope. I can see her, put the crosshairs on, and I'm looking. I'm like, come on, take another step or two, but turn sideways. And as soon as she took that step and opened that front shoulder up, wham! She started shoveling. You know how the deer knock their front legs out, and she just starts plowing. And she runs about 20, 30 yards and drops. She dropped within 2 to 3 feet of the other deer I shot.
And you took a picture of it.
Yeah. So I'm there for like 2 minutes. I dropped 2 deer with a muzzleloader.
Not bad deal.
The Elkona sniper.
There you go. Well, because you're using that bump stock on the muzzleloader.
Yeah, okay. He's accusing me of using a bump stock. All right. Gonna go there. I see how you are.
Right, absolutely.
But Dave, you were you out in the field when those shots went off?
Yeah, I thought it sounded a little fast myself, Danny.
See, using that bump stock on the muzzleloader.
You know.
Yeah, no, I heard you, but it wasn't where I thought you were.
Okay.
I did the way it echoed down that canyon. I thought that was the neighbor.
Okay.
So yeah, and then you sent me a text shortly thereafter said, well, somebody's had luck. And we traded a couple of paragraphs. I said, yeah, it's the neighbors. You said, no, it's me.
2 does down, baby.
Yep. 2 down. I said, you doubled up.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise because you just weren't where I thought you were. And that's outstanding, Mike. I'm very impressed. Congratulations.
Oh, I tell you what, when that second one dropped, I was just like, I started giggling. I mean, I don't know why, but the emotion, it was just, I giggled like a little schoolgirl.
Right.
It's a hunt that was so simplistic, but yet still it had so much wrapped up into it. And it just, man, it happened that quick. You know, I mean, a whole season can change in a matter of seconds.
Right, exactly. You can,
Absolutely.
Like you said before, gun season, you were kind of checking yourself and thinking about things, and all of a sudden here come muzzleloader season, 10 days later.
Yep.
You got 2 down in 2 minutes.
Yeah, game on. You know, had a fistful of tags, and it was time to make some dinner. You know,
right?
Put them on the grill. You know, the only thing is, I wish that doe really would have kept walking and went down to the other guy, the younger guy down there. He could have shot his first deer with his dad sitting there, because that would have made my day. That'd have been made my day more than the doe that I shot.
Right, I totally agree there.
But yeah, and the other thing was, they were like maybe 20 feet from the road, so. Dragging was easy.
You gotta like that.
I did like that. It was good, you know. It was, but I tell you, Gabe did say, he said, "Man, I jumped."
Yeah, you will. Yeah, I agree there.
But here's a thought going through my mind. I said, I know they heard it. I said, they're gonna think, yeah, Mike shot, put a bad shot on one, and had to reload and take another shot. I know that's what they're thinking. And when we went down there, he's like, "You got 2?" I said,
right.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. But and then the other gentleman that was sitting with Gabe and his dad, the first 2 hunts, he was out. We put him up on out in the open, old school, like I was hunting that day.
Okay.
I went out old school, sitting on the ground, you know, doing a little deep wood stalking. And he did the same thing. We had him in another spot, and he shot doe. So we had 3 doe down that evening, you know, within a matter of an hour and a half. So it worked out really well. So long story short, I continued down, got down to my field, and got in there, and I was going to warm up, and that's when I called you.
Yeah, okay, that's what you called me?
Yeah, and then my dad called, and he said, he called me, he says, hey, what's going on? And I said, just sitting here watching it snow, sitting here in the blind. He goes, oh, just watching it snow along with the deer? I go, well, there's 2 deer that are no longer going to see a snowfall. He goes, you shot 2? And I said, yeah, I shot 2. So that was pretty cool. But after that, we got back to camp. Everybody came in, and actually I went back early and waited for everybody to come back in so I wouldn't screw up everybody else's hunt.
Right.
Got the trailer. We went and started picking deer up. And I knew David was going to go coyote hunting that night. And I said, you want some gut piles?
Right. And perfect bait.
Yeah. So we said, yeah. So at that point in time, we said, okay, let's get all the deer together, and we'll set up a coyote bait pile and let them hunt over that. So, and that's what we did. But we did a little something different with that. Let's take our last break, Dave. When I come back, I want you to explain. We kind of opened up a little schooling on these kids at that point in time, but I want you to explain that when we come back. We're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like 1 pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet.
I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, last segment of the show. This might run a little bit long, folks, just going to warn you.
Right.
Because we still got some stuff to talk about. So David wanted to go coyote hunting, but when we got up there to where we were going to coyote hunt, we decided to do something a little different. I talked with David, and David had an idea, I had an idea, and we kind of put some things together. David, go ahead and tell them what we did.
All right. Well, we always take advantage of every opportunity we can, to give a little education. 3 of the boys had some limited experience field dressing some deer. Obviously, one kid did not, Gabe. So we decided to take the advantage of that and skin them out and get those gut piles. And we know anytime you're skinning, when you're taking the guts out of an animal for the first time, that's one of the highlights. Us guys have done it many times, is guiding them through that and letting them feel and see and get the smells and hopefully not get the smells of when they make a bad cut. And it's a learning experience for them. We had Dave White, one of our newest instructors, give us a fine schooling on how to do it quickly and do it safely. And then we started to have the kids do it. And, of course, our youngest, most inexperienced is the most eager one, to dive in there and get it done. And Gabe did it. We coached him through it. Actually taught him a couple of different ways. Marquise also stepped in, got his hands nice and bloody and dirty. And, we just went through it all and went through the different organs and what we're looking for and diseases and parasites, stuff like that. And then we had a little fun with the heart, which we ended up eating later. If you saw the live cast that evening, we all enjoyed some heart, even yourself.
Yes.
It was a great time. There's some of the stuff we can't say, and there may be some clips later after it's edited, of that adventure.
Yeah. As adult men standing back watching younger men, and that's what they are. These are young men, learn and work their way through these hunting experiences and learning to do things. Yeah, we say and do a few things that might not be
video worthy.
Some people might frown on it,
right?
But it's all. And if you guys are out there that have been hunting it, you know exactly what we're talking about. But that's hunting, man. That's what makes hunting camaraderie so great.
Absolutely,
is sharing those men moments, with each other, watching these young men grow up to be hunters and men themselves and take these first-time experiences. It was simply incredible. And I was standing there watching, and there was a technique that was used that I had never seen before that I learned something. And it was, when I'm gutting a doe or a buck that I'm not going to mount, I always, when we cut up, I get to the breastbone, I go up one side.
Right.
Split them ribs open up, all the way through, so you can open it up and get up in there and pull out, the esophagus, the heart, the lungs, cut the diaphragm, pull that all out. But what David White showed me, and I was blown away. He's like, okay, yeah, cut up that side now, cut up the other side of the sternum, and did the same thing. So he's got 2 cuts, and then he pulled that sternum and he pulled it up straight up and then cut it. So now you've got a channel.
Yeah, it's wide open.
It's wide open. It makes it so much easier to get in there and get a hold of the esophagus, cut it, and bring all that out. I was blown away. So I learned something.
That's the best technique too. Also, if you think by chance you've got a broadhead lodged someplace in there, that's the best. We talk good, better, best. That's the best technique. If you think there's a possibility of a broadhead stuck in there, because you've got so much more room. You can see you've got more room to work. The organs, it gives them more room to slide down. So it's just totally better. And I highly recommend that people look that up.
And the other thing that not only just that, but the fact that one that smaller deer, that second deer, I actually clipped the front shoulder on and broke that deer down quick. But that whole front shoulder assembly was shattered.
Yep.
And Dave's like, he reached up in there, David White. He's like, well, wait, before you just jam your hand in, he said, there's some sharp fragments in here. And by the way he opened that chest cavity up, it allowed him to pull open further and it really expose it and be able to see it and keep his hands away from those sharp bone ends and puncturing his hand, and then getting, because you don't know what to do. If a deer does have something and you cut yourself, you got a chance of that getting into your blood.
Yep, exactly.
So, even just for that technique of that, of a shoulder shot and then blowing that shoulder apart, or like Dave said, it could be a broadhead. So, there's multiple reasons right there. 2 reasons that I see that's a way to do it.
Right.
So David, tell Dave White, thank you for teaching me something, because
absolutely,
it was awesome, But then we get back to. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I just want to say I really appreciate Dave, and he's a new asset to our organization, and we're happy to have him. I want to give him the public credit that he deserves. But we're always, every day, and you're the same way. We're always trying to learn something from each other and discuss things and make it better. And I really appreciate him, and I welcome him to the team.
Absolutely. Great asset. Like I said, I learned a lot, and, him and I, this guy's hunted around different places around the country, but he hadn't hunted Michigan. So we're sharing different experiences and learning different things from each other, and if you've got an open mind about hunting, and don't stick your nose up and think you know it all.
Absolutely not.
I don't care who you are. There's something out there you don't know.
And we've talked about that before.
You can learn something.
You can always learn something.
So I appreciate that. But, yeah, we went back. Speaking of learning something, they pulled the hearts out and go, yeah, we're going to take these back to camp and cook them. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. You guys can have them. What, you don't eat it? I'm like, no, never have. Don't want it. So get back to camp. David White starts playing Chef Boyardee on these hearts. And I'm watching him cutting them. And it's like, that's not the way I've seen it prepared typically. And I'm watching what he's doing. And all of a sudden, he has is butter and garlic, wasn't it, or just butter? What did he use?
Just butter.
Just butter.
Just butter, and then unsalted butter, and then topped it off with salt and pepper at the end.
And he cut them real thin. I mean, extremely thin.
Yeah, because it only took 2 minutes aside.
Yeah, and put them in the pan, and the butter's nice and hot, not scalded, but not burning, but it's nice and hot to cook, and sear that meat. And 2 minutes on each side. Meat, is medium rare, and the smell didn't bother me. I'm like, that was the biggest problem before, is the way it was cooked. I couldn't take the smell.
Okay.
And it's a psychological thing as well.
Absolutely.
You're going to eat the heart. But it's a muscle. So I'm like, you seen the Facebook Live? I tried a piece. It was awesome. What's it?
I actually learned from that also.
Okay.
I've seen it and had it done a few times and didn't care much for it. I thought it was okay, but not something I highlight, no backstrap.
Right.
But Dave's is pretty darn close to it.
Yeah.
But it was the technique that he cut it, I'd never even seen before. And it resulted in a much more tender heart, in my opinion. I mean, I was impressed too. I learned something from that. He kind of cut it like you would a bell pepper. And that really worked out. It had a better result than some of the other times that I've tried it, and it tastes and chewed like a rubber band.
Right, absolutely.
But
yeah.
But Dave's was outstanding. I was very impressed.
When they say melt in your mouth, it literally did.
Really?
I was expecting the worst. Okay, guys, I'm on Facebook Live. I'm for you guys. I'm gonna try deer heart. And I'm like, whoa. Man, that's good. David, cut me another piece of that, please.
Really?
I was shocked.
That's awesome.
It tasted like venison. You know, it's just like
six out of 9 people tried it for the first time, and every one of them loved it.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of people there that never tried it before.
I guess I'm going to have to try it.
So well, when you come back up to camp and we're all there together,
I could be the guinea pig. You'll try it first.
No, you'll be able to, the one to receive and sit down and enjoy it, because I'm telling you what, man, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good.
It was nothing like I imagined.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I got to try that for the first time. It was incredible. So, but the kids went out hunting again this morning. Dave and I ran around, closed up blinds and stuff, and grabbed our gear, cleaned camp up, and loaded deer up, and made our way home. But we had one more highlight on the way out as we came home. The DNR check station was open. You've heard me talk how many times that I've tried, right? So
the one on the highway?
No, it was the main one there in Mayo on 33.
Oh, okay.
The main headquarters.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we pull in, the open sign's open. I'm like, okay, I hope somebody just didn't forget to turn the sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull in, and doors rolled up. They got all the gear there, but there's nobody lined up. And we pull up, and older gentleman comes out, DNR employee, and tried a little bit of small talk at first, and he was okay. He was nice enough. But then I told David, I said, get the kids out. I said, we're about to have class again. And we got those kids out, and the DNR official, all of a sudden, he just kind of lit up, and we had school.
Right.
He held school right there. Those kids learned how to age deer, learn why we take the heads in, learn what they were looking for and how they find that stuff. And they had another educational lesson right there. So it was awesome.
Not only a weekend of hunting, but a weekend of education.
Yeah. So, that's the way Backwaters does it, right, David?
That's right. We're the best in outdoor education.
So, speaking of, we talked a little bit about Backwaters. For those of you who are on the live stream or those on the podcast that don't know about Backwaters Legacy, Dave, give a quick rundown as to what you guys do.
All right. We do outdoor education and youth development. We have a program. We're mostly known for our academy, which is a 4-year program where these kids learn the stuff that we talked about today, plus many, many more. Stuff from making primitive weapons. They learn every kind of firearm and how to use it. They learn every type of archery, and we're talking kids from 8 years old. We take kids around 8 and 9, depending on if they can stay without mama for a week, and then we'll keep them all the way up until their adulthood. And now we've got guys. It's a 4-year program, but most of our guys are 6 years, 7 years, and we've got 2 guys that are at 9 years of an optional program. That's learning something, and it's different every year. And we do a lot of stuff that nobody else does. We have experts teach whatever their specialty is. From wilderness survival and first aid, the primitive skills, world champion archers teaching the archery program. It's this program like nothing else. I wish we would have had it when I was young, because it takes a learning curve. And these kids, oh my God, they're going to be master woodsmen and outdoorsmen when well before we ever will, because they're getting the early age stuff that they're learning at 10 and 12. We didn't learn until we were 40.
Yeah, still learning.
Yeah, still learning, and no one else does bow making. They'll make their own arrows, and their own bowstrings. We have a falconry program. We have a program that no one else does. We have our own patches. We're like the Scouts, but we're better. We have our own patches and awards and certificates that they can earn, and they are earned. They're not given. We also can give them their Boy Scout patches and 4-H shooting sports patches. We take everything to them.
Uh-oh. I think we've lost David.
He must have hit a tower going into Indiana.
Yeah, he must have crossed the state line. He's back in Indiana, and they cut his cell phone service off.
Right, exactly.
Oh, no. Well, it's you kind of heard the whole nutshell there of what they do down there. It's backwaterlegacies.org is their website. Go check it out. You got kids that want to get into that system. I think they're getting ready to open up registration for this coming summer. So it's a great program. And the 4 kids that we had up, they were voted by their peers as worthy to get a reward, and their reward is to come up and hunt up here with us and kill some does. So. Before we go, though, we did have an email that came in. We were talking a little bit about the fact of shooting does that might have a little one. And do you want to read that email real quick?
Yeah, let me bring it up here real quick, and
we'll try to answer that question. We'll finish up the show with that.
This is right before we were going on from a listener from Pennsylvania. Hey, Mike and Dan, UNJ listener from Pennsylvania since the way back old days. Up North Juniors pre-puberty voice days. Anyhow.
That's back when Mikey was little.
Right. Spent the limited time I had to hunt the PA rifle season. hunting for some bucks. I had pictures of and never saw any, but I let all the does I saw walk. I told myself the buck would be following.
Right.
Maybe I just could not bring myself to drop the hammer on a doe with fawns with her.
Mm-hmm.
I've shot doe before where I've lived in the Midwest, and I know there's some QDAM science that says my actions are not logical. Can you guys convince me to attempt to shoot some does in the late flintlock season?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can go down, and actually we dealt with that as we talked with Cole here earlier in the show. You know, he had that same mindset, didn't want to shoot a doe that had a fawn with it.
Right.
You know, I called him tender-hearted. You know, that was my little ribbing of him. But seriously though, you know, there's people that just won't drop a hammer on a doe for whatever reason. You know, they just can't bring themselves to do it. And that's fine. You know, when that happens, I don't ridicule nobody. I don't call them names. Don't say, well, you know, you're not playing the game to try to help deer get better. What we do is let them continue to hunt bucks. And we get enough people to help do what we need to do.
Exactly.
Bringing these kids up to our camp. That's one way we try to help the doe population. Do I relish the fact of dropping the hammer on a doe? I still have respect for the game. My dad won't shoot a doe. I will say when I shot those 2 in 2 minutes, the experience alone of that hunt is what made me giddy like a schoolgirl.
Right.
Still had respect for those animals. Okay. Is it still hard to do? Yeah, sometimes it is hard to do. But in the grand scheme of things, and the thing that we showed the kids when we were doing the field dressing of the deer, first thing we did was we had them get a hold of the teats and pull them up, pull that skin flap up and start taking and dressing that milk sac off of the doe.
Right.
All 3 does were dry.
So they were done nursing
They're
they had
done
kids.
nursing.
Yep.
So when they're done nursing, those fawns are self-sustainable on the vegetation that's presented. Mama's not going to feed them and keep them alive at this point in the season, okay? What will keep them alive is experience from the mother, okay? I will give you that. So if you see a single doe with a single fawn, like Cole did at the very beginning of his hunt, he chose not to shoot for that reason. Me, on the other hand, would I or wouldn't I have? It would have been situational for me. I like to see, if I see a doe with a fawn and I'm going to shoot it, I like to see other deer around. So when I take that doe, the social structure is that fawn is funneled in with that social structure, family structure of those other does and other fawns.
They just go on.
Yeah, so it's not being left alone to survive by itself, waiting for coyote to come up and munch on it. It has that social structure. And we saw that today when we were leaving camp. We're coming out, and we get up close to the gate, and I don't know if you remember, but that red pine cutting that we did.
Yep.
And we got that new growth red pine that's probably 4 or 5 foot high.
Right.
There was 9 deer laying in there. Okay, all does and fawns, family group, all together, all inclusive. Now it wasn't one mama doe and all of her fawns. It was multiples. So
multiple families.
It's a family group, and that's why I look to shoot. If I shoot a doe with fawns, I'd look for it to be in that family structure.
Right, exactly. And you know, and we actually had witnessed when I was sitting with my cousin Brian. Mm-hmm. We had one trying to nurse on mom.
She kick it off.
If she was getting anything, I'd be surprised. Mm-hmm. We don't know.
Right.
But they should all be weaned off by November for sure.
Right.
Here.
Right.
So definitely the social structure plays a role into it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it would be okay to take them.
You know, where we're at and what we're dealing with is we have an exorbitant amount of doe on the property. Our numbers are askew. We've done deer counts. We've got averages for the piece of property that we hunt, that we see on a regular basis. Our food plots are just getting decimated. Our browse lines are extremely high. Here's the thing. Okay, so at least where we're at, you're shooting does. They got fawns. Fawns are going to survive. Have you ever seen them when they're starving? We have.
Yep, not good.
We've seen when we get the first green up and things are starting to unthaw and it's not quite green up yet. These deer are starving to death because there's no food out there. There's no food plots. Everything's locked in, frozen in the soil, and they eat all the deer browse there is, and now they're eating on vegetation like red pine tops that's not a preferable food source just to put something in their belly.
They'll go after the bark too.
We've seen that up here. One of the guys actually watched a doe walk up and eat bark off of a tree.
You know they're hungry then.
And it's just like, starvation's gruesome.
It is.
So...
back in the day, 94, 95, when we had our big kill-off in the UP, mm-hmm. Basically in the spring, talking to the neighbor, he says you could smell death.
Yeah.
So that when you went walking, it would be no problem to find 4, 6, 8 deer all laying curled up together on the side of a hill.
Right.
Just trying to get that warmth from the sun,
Yep.
but it was too late for them.
Absolutely.
So it was just, but anyways, Brandon, if you want some to be convinced, I don't know if there's any convincing, but you got to look at it and think, how's your deer population?
That's the first thing you need to look at.
Take a look at your deer health.
Yep.
What deer you're going through your wintering periods.
Mm-hmm. I look at deer density.
Yep.
The carrying capacity of the land. Okay, how many deer can that land sustain? Is my deer numbers in check? Is my buck to doe ratios in check? And those are the things. I'm not saying go out and smack does just for the sake of smacking does. There's got to be a reason to do it. Okay, so there's areas like in your area. I mean, even though your micro pocket of where you're at, you've got a sustainable amount of does, you're overpopulated, but overall that general area is down, and they don't allow doe hunting.
Right, exactly.
There's a reason for it.
She said just north of you, in the northern part of the county, they won't see hardly any.
Yeah.
Whereas we're towards the southern part of the county, we're seeing, actually they call us the agricultural belt.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you got to look at different things like that. But that in itself is a good way to start setting your mindset of what you want to do.
I'm trying to find real quick, if I can, before we end the show here, the numbers I got back from camp. Okay, right here it is. Okay, when I left camp, I think there was 6 doe that were shot. I got numbers on 5 of them. One was 8 years old. One was 9. One was 12. Another was 4, and another one was 5. Okay, so that's 5 deer. 5 of the 6 they got age. I don't know what the other one was and why I didn't get that number, but that doesn't matter. Okay, now the does that we shot, the one that Dave got, 6.5 years old. The one that oldest one I shot, the first one, 5.5 years old. The last one I shot, he said he was in between if it was 1.5 years or 2.5-year-old deer. He said, I don't know. He said, I'm leaning right in the middle. He says, I don't know. He said, wait to get your results back and you're going to know. I mean, yeah, it was a smaller deer, but the point was, and we've talked about this with our camp manager. It's like, do we take, the goal is to get rid of the older group deer of does, because the older does, the older they get, the more likely they are to produce twin doe fawns,
right?
Which throws your buck to doe ratio out of whack even worse. Okay, so that's what they want. They say if you're shooting all the does you're shooting, if the average age of the group of does that you harvest off your property is more than 3.5, you're overpopulated. And the analytics show that. So, and you just heard what we've got. Now, there was other deer that were shot after I left camp and got those numbers. I don't have those results yet.
Right.
But already 5 and 3, 8 deer that we've killed, and only 1 deer was under 3.5. The rest were older than that.
So according to your statistics, you're a little overpopulated.
And we know that. The numbers have proven that. So
right.
Well, our deer counts.
The numbers have proven it, and you've had visual proof that your food plots aren't growing.
Right.
They're not growing because they're being browsed.
They're getting mowed down to the dirt. Yep. So. Don't just take what we say here. We've done a lot of reading. I've been to deer necropsies. I've learned a lot of this from Dr. James Kroll. I've learned a lot of it from QDMA. I've been to a couple of workshops at other deer co-ops, and that's kind of where I've started gaining this information from, and also what we're seeing on our own property. We're managing 640 acres, square mile.
Yep.
So we're counting 150 deer on average on a square mile. So the average carrying capacity in our area without food plots is 15 to 16 deer per square mile.
And you're up at 150. Yeah,
we got food plots, but the problem is we can't produce the tonnage that we need to sustain that.
5 pounds a day per deer. Right. Kevin Craven chimes in here. Old age does and CWD are why we need to speed up taking more does, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And that's a whole other thing, the disease aspect of what we're trying to do and eradicate some of the TB and CWD. Are you going to ever get rid of it? Probably not. It's been around for a long time.
You will live with it. Colorado is a perfect example of that they've had it for years.
You need to manage it. Yep.
Instead of going crazy about it, just step back.
Take a deep breath.
And manage it.
Yep. So those are some of the things that we're dealing with. What was the gentleman's name that emailed us?
Brandon.
What I would suggest, get in touch with somebody in your area, like maybe your local wildlife biologist.
Yep. Ask your. You know what? That is a. Great thing to do. If you're good with your neighbors, talk with your neighbors, talk with your DNR biologist. He or she will know, and it's really cool, exactly your area. You can tell them where you're at, and then they can tell you. Mm-hmm. Like I found out, she says, well, you're right here, so you're in the agricultural belt. And I kind of looked at her with that look and I'm like, what? Right. But she explained why. I'm like, okay. So then she explained it. So yeah, definitely get with the DNR biologist in your area, talk with them, and they can help you out a lot.
Absolutely. QDMA.org or .com, I can't remember which one it is, but go to their website, start looking at information on doe harvesting. Dr. Grant Woods, called the Proving Grounds, his research that he's doing. Look at Dr. James Kroll at some of the research he's done and is doing, and just start Googling some of these things and gleaning information and start compiling your
absolutely
your own information, make your own mind.
Make your own call.
Yep.
We're not going to tell you what to do. It's not our style anyways. It's everybody,
right.
You form your own opinion, you do what you need to do. And you know what, Brandon, why don't you tune in next week? Because we will have from MUCC Anna Mitterling on, talking about exactly what we're talking about. And Kevin, same thing for you. We're going to be talking about CWD. You obviously probably saw our post where she was working in the lab.
Yep, she was in the lab where they're collecting. And actually, that's where our heads are going.
Yep, that's where your head
dropped off.
Yep.
So.
And so she's going to be on the show next week at 7 o'clock live, and we can talk to her more about exactly this and what we need or where to go from here. Mm-hmm. And she also, one of her big things was saying, get out and talk to your neighbors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we do. We post everything we do on our co-op page. I got a Facebook co-op page, and our surrounding landowners and people that hunt our property and people that hunt their property, we're all on this page together, and we all share information. That's the goal. So we all know what each other's doing. There's none of this, well, hey, that group, they're always shooting all the does. They're always shooting. They just slaughter. Well, how do you know if you don't? I mean, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe what you're thinking they're doing is not what they're doing. Get with them. Get together. Figure out, what your land management styles are. Figure out what your hunting styles are. Work together. Communication. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And Anna's going to talk to us about exactly about that, why a co-op is good.
Absolutely. So other than that, we're going to break down the podcast right now. We're going to wrap it up with that. We'll take a few questions on the live stream while we're wrapping up the show. So for those of you on the podcast, as we always say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Vapor Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plot Seeds, Attractants, and Supplements,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.